The body of it was $19,500. If you went to the Red store right now, it's $29,500.
What is up, Merce Nation? Javier Mercedes here, and I'm a curious individual, especially when it comes to video tech and cameras. And I've grown up in the videography business using prosumer cameras like the Canon 7D, the Sony RX4, and now I have the Sony a7 III. But I wanted to sit down with somebody that has those really, really expensive cameras. I'm talking about the Red and the ARRI cameras of the world, the things that make motion picture videos. And since I've never used a Red or an ARRI camera before, I feel like I have a lot of questions that a lot of other YouTubers and content creators probably have. So if you guys are interested in that kind of material, I have a series of these videos coming out where I just sit down with people that use these cameras on a day-to-day basis, and I ask them questions that I think other people would be interested to hear about these more expensive pieces of video equipment. When you're buying the Red camera, since it is modular, where did you even start? Is it like you go to red.com and then you're like, I want to get a thing, or do you talk to a representative? How does that work?
Yeah, Red does have they call them bomb squad members, which is their like sales force.
Yeah.
Setting aside my feelings about their naming conventions, they have sales reps that you can call and talk to who will get you up to speed on, say the bare minimum that you need, some nice options to have. But for me, it's a simple process. I just want to be functional to shoot. What's the minimum? And then I pick my luxuries in order of importance. To get here, you buy a lot of these things separately. So they call it the brain, which is literally just the box here. That's bought with a sensor in it. And now they usually come with what's called the side module. Back here, you see this thing blinking because the card's full. But the side module is where you put your media.
And
so
that's something completely different.
It used to be that you would buy this separate. You could buy this separate from the body. Nowadays, the brain comes as one thing. Now, right behind the brain here, you see there's a kind of a plate. It's kind of hard to tell that there's even a separate item here. There's a plate that allows me to put this V-mount battery on. You don't have to use this. There are other ways to power the camera. Just this plate here allows battery power, and then it has this whole grouping of inputs and outputs. You don't have to get a module that does all these things. You can get a more basic one if you want. Adding on to that, you can see on the front here, there's an adapter, because this is the monitor that I used from my very first Red camera. I got that back in 2012, I guess, on a Red Scarlet. And it's the same monitor I've used on every single one of these cameras since then. They've changed their monitor hookup in the new generation. You can kind of see it, what they call a pogo mount. Back there, you see some gold pins floating around. That's the new system, but if you still want to use their old monitors, which I did because I wanted to save some money, you can buy an adapter like this. Again, lens mount is interchangeable. This is a Tamron lens. It's a Canon EF mount lens that's on the camera here. You're not limited to Canon lenses. Going back to the modular thing, they make a whole variety of different options for lens mounts. So this right here is a PL lens mount. Generally, those are higher end cinema lenses. So if I had a nice set of, say, like Cook Speed Pancros from the 70s and wanted to shoot a whole video on that.
No idea what that is, but it sounds awesome.
They're great lenses. Cook is well known for they have the Cook look. So for instance, if I had a set of those, which I just shot that last short film I was telling you about on, I could swap this mount out, 4 screws right here, and then I can just throw on the same lenses I'm using on this Alexa here. That's a PL mount. They also make Nikon mounts, Leica lens mounts, and I want to say 1 or 2 others. And then this handle, a lot of people don't use this handle. It doesn't seem to be a popular accessory for whatever reason. I like it because even though there's a touchscreen, I like having some tactile controls as well. And it's just ergonomically, it's nice. It's nice to hold. It feels good in your hand. It's an extra place to grab the camera. As you can see, I like having handles on my camera, top and both sides. And if you shoot a lot of handheld stuff, it's just nice to have other places to grab the camera. It allows some movement that you wouldn't otherwise get.
When you're normally holding the camera, how do you shoot? Like for me, when I'm holding this camera, I'm normally like, it has this nice like right here where I can take the V mount and just like put it up against my shoulder. And not only that, but this viewfinder isn't very good at being a sharp viewfinder. It's like when you're pulling focus, I'm constantly punching in, doing pulling the focus, and then going back to the whatever. But normally this is a nice spot for me, depending on like what you're shooting, and you don't like want to be like, oh, let me get up your nostrils, but I'll try and frame it that way. What about when you're holding it for most shots?
So I traditionally, if I'm using this like smaller configuration, I'll usually grab it by the top handle and then maybe a side, and I can kind of like get it higher, lower, dependent upon that. The top handle is pretty much always in play when I'm using it in like the smaller mode. And one other thing that I'm gonna show you, this battery plate, you can actually take this battery off the camera and run it off board and clip this onto your belt.
Oh, wow.
So you can
So it's
lighten
less
up
weight,
the camera. Yeah, which makes a big difference when you're doing it all day, depending on the look that I'm going for. I'll use the shoulder rig, and you can see back here, I put a rod mount on top of the camera. So what the shoulder mount does is you just push it in here, tighten down these knobs, and then it extends back here probably 2 feet, and it's got a counterweight on the back of it. So the whole thing sits on your shoulder, and it's balanced front to back.
That's awesome.
Which makes it a lot easier to work with all day, and it's more stable that way.
Yeah, I'll say with this one, I love the smallness of it. The shoulder mount is right here, but my shoulder's never there, because like say you have a 70 to 200, or you have this lens on there, that's not where the weight is. When you put a V mount battery on here, it's like this. Not only that, but it's like if you look at it, I'm like, what is going on? And normally my shoulder sits in between the battery and whatnot. Even then, it has a handle, and that helps even out the weight, and that's what makes it like good. But now the camera's like, you can see it's going this way, and that starts to pinch your shoulder if you're doing a lot of whatever stuff, which you would then invest in a specific shoulder mount. But with the type of stuff that we shoot here, most of the time it's locked off. If we are shooting shoulder mount, we do have some shoulder mounts that we can get by with to do the things that we need to, no problem. But it's not like we're not going to fasten that to this camera, because we're just doing a lot of tripod shots and all that other stuff for the type of work that we're doing. The price of something like this, it's one thing to purchase a camera, right? So this thing right now, I think just for a normal FS7 is like 6,000 and a half, or like 6,000 some change, something like that. There's the FS7 II, which is like 8,700 or something like that, but that's just the body. Now you have to think about what type of lenses that, if you're starting from scratch, which I think if you're going to get this camera, you probably already have something that you're utilizing. The V-mount batteries are amazing. Not only that, but that's another investment that you can use for your lights and all that other stuff. As for lenses, Sony lenses aren't cheap in terms of, because I feel like there's a scarcity of the actual product there. There isn't as many as Canon's been pumping them out for so long, but Sony, I feel like in terms of lenses, is new to the game for these types of things. Obviously, they've had Zeiss and all that stuff for a while, so take that with a grain of salt. But after you're all in, to get the things that you need to for your memory cards and all that stuff, it's definitely like a $10,000 camera or plus, and that's just to like get the usefulness that you need to out of it. What about for something like that?
So this is sticker shock is definitely a thing with Reds, and they're not even necessarily the high priced cinema camera out there. So just to break it down, the body itself, when I got it, because I got a pre-order discount of $10,000.
Jesus, the fact that I'm like, oh, this is a $10,000 camera, and then it's like, oh, I got a discount at $10,000.
Yeah, well, so I got the discount. So this body right here, not including the battery plate I mentioned, the body of it was $19,500. If you went to the Red store right now, it's $29,500. Then this battery module with the inputs was another almost $2,000. The handle back here, I want to say, was about $800. This monitor originally was somewhere, I want to say, around $1,400. The lens mount was, I believe, $1,500. It may have been a little lower than that. I'm trying to remember.
Not only that, but you have all of the other add-ons too,
exactly.
And other things to like put your matte boxes and your follow focuses, and not only that, but then you're like, you have a cinema camera, and then if somebody's pulling focus for you, it's like there's that whole thing. So all in, you're way. I'm assuming you're over 20K. No problem.
No. This maybe not all what's on here right now, but easily for what I usually shoot the Red setup with, it's probably over 30. total.
And how much, if because that's a specific kind of memory card, how much are just like memory cards in general?
They are expensive. So these smaller ones that they have, they're called mini mags. This is a 128 gig, and I believe it retails for $900.
Yeah, so we have the same 128. This one is actually, in terms of like getting a consumer like SD, it's still not cheap because you have to be able to write fast. It's 400 megabytes per second. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
but I don't have the price for it. I'll probably just do like a ding like really quick, but it's obviously not $900.
Yeah.
You're filling up space so quick. How many of these do you have for a shoot?
So on a typical shoot, I'll usually have somewhere in the order of like 5 cards to rotate through.
And then there's somebody dedicated to offloading footage as you're going.
Yeah.
In most cases, if you're just to make sure everything's being offloaded. And not only that, but it takes time to get that stuff off, and you don't want to be sitting at a place getting footage off of a camera.
Exactly. So you got your friendly DIT, stands for Digital Imaging Technician, to hopefully rotate through these cards for you, so you don't have to think about it. One thing you can do to mitigate that situation if you're in a bind is not only can you use lower resolution modes, so for instance dropping from 8 to 5K, they also give you compression ratios to play with. Let's say if you're on a green screen shoot, you want as much color information there as you possibly can. So you shoot really low compression most of the time when you're shooting green screen. When I say low compression, I mean something maybe say it's called, they use ratios, so say 5:1, 8:1 maybe compression. Whereas if you're shooting run and gun and you know you're gonna be out all day, you might shoot the most compressed version, which is 22:1. And it makes a big difference in runtime on these cards. So you can go from, on the same card, even just an 8K, you could get between 7 minutes and 30 minutes, depending on the compression ratio. Same resolution.
For one card, you could only get 30 minutes.
Yeah. And I mean, they sell them in larger sizes than this for thousands of dollars.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
That's only 120. Only 120. Like, how many hard drives do you just have at home?
Oh God, I've lost count. I tried to count that up a couple months ago, and I like kept losing track of where other drives were. Like I would be looking through my closet and like 2 more would just be in the corner, and then like I'd find one like under the bed that I forgot about. I mean, but easily like probably more than 30 hard drives.
I'm always looking at like what's the biggest drive that I can get, and it doesn't have to be fast at all, but where's my secondary backup where I can just like, if somebody asks me for something that's like, or I want to grab a B-roll that I knew I shot from something and it's from way long time ago, I want to have a master whatever drive, and then I have all of these smaller whatever drives that segment a secondary backup. Do you have something that's just like a really big one too?
I have a small, it's called a NAS. I'm not sure how you say it. Network attached storage.
Okay.
But basically it's like a disk array. It's 4 hard drives that sit in an enclosure together. And they're in a RAID configuration, which just means like in this situation that there's like a backup
to the backup. Yeah, or there's a backup to the actual drive. So it mirrors, if you put something on a hard drive, it's mirroring that. Yeah. I feel like if somebody's watching this video, they're probably gonna know. Actually, if they're just looking to get into RED cameras, then maybe not. I don't know. Yeah. Just know that you, along with the purchase of a RED camera, hard drives follow soon after.
Absolutely.
Hard drive space for sure.
Yeah.
Typical setup when you're on a shoot, depending on like if you were to mount this on a Movi or something like that, how would do you take all of this and then it's just the brains in that?
Yeah, I'll strip it down as much as possible, and then it won't have a battery or anything. And then you can
put that thing on the actual bar.
Exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's just a cube with a lens on it. And that's it.
I think what we'll do is like I'll just like leave this as one episode because we've like talked so much about it, and then we'll move on to the Alexa. So
sure.
If you like that stuff, like and subscribe. Javier Mercedes out. Check out Scott's stuff on the internet. Where can they find you?
I am at Undead Batteries on Instagram.
Undead Batteries. You are based out of Austin, but I'm assuming you're shooting all over the place.
I work all over the country and out of the country.
Yeah. So there you guys go. Next episode, Alexa. Let's do it.
Cool.
All right.